One child gets killed every hour in Gaza. That's according to UNICEF and the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees. UNRWA, the United Nations Relief Works Agency, which has been banned from operating in Israel and occupied East Jerusalem, brought this statistic to the forefront today. They made a post, and here's the post right here on Twitter. It's provocative, it's stunning, it's accurate, and therefore it is scary. It says, "No place for children. Since the beginning of the war, 14,500 children have been reported killed in Gaza, according to UNICEF. One child gets killed every hour." These are not numbers. These are lives cut short. Killing children cannot be justified. Those who survive are scarred physically and emotionally, deprived of learning. Boys and girls in Gaza sift through the rubble. The clock is ticking for these children. They are losing their lives, their futures, and mostly their hope. Ceasefire. Now back to learning. These are all also calls against the scholasticide that's happening, the destruction of schools and the school system. Of course, this is Philippe Lazzarini, who I've interviewed not multiple times, I think maybe once or twice on this channel. You can see it, Philippe Lazzarini, Commissioner General of the UNRWA. And then they've been posting this "killing children cannot be justified" tag, which is incredibly important. And sadly, for some reason, people have to be reminded of that. The death toll since the start verified that nearly half of those killed were children. The death toll since the start of the war verified that nearly half of those people killed were children. 90% of the population, 1.9 million Palestinians, have been displaced more than once. So you got this high death toll, half of which are children. You got 90% of the population have been displaced. Half of the people displaced are children who have lost their home and were forced to flee. Today, the U.S. envoy to Israel rejected a report from the U.S. Agency on International Development, or USAID, warning that a famine continues to unfold in the Gaza Strip. He criticized the agency for relying on, quote, outdated and inaccurate data. Now, this isn't the first time this has happened. The U.S. has repeatedly rejected humanitarian assessments from aid workers and reputable agencies. This is not complicated. It's disturbing and scary, but it's not complicated. Gaza is no place to be a child. Gaza is no place to be a child. One child every hour gets killed. And those who don't get killed are still forced to wrestle with all of these systems of inequality and injustice and precarity. They are left out to dry. And when the world says, hey, look at this awful situation, the United States continues to fund the awful situation. When the world says, hey, this is a genocide, the U.S. says, no, don't say the G word. When the world says, look, humanitarian aid is being blocked, you have to do something, the U.S. says, we don't see anything. Then they say, well, look again. The U.S. says, okay, fine. There could be something, but we don't see it. But if this continues, we'll do something about it. Give us a month. A month, they say, give us another month. A month, 2 months go by. It's a game. And now they're saying that the U.S. is saying, that the world, all these organizations, all these humanitarian rights investigators, all these people are wrong, and Israel is right. And it would almost be laughable if people weren't really dying. And for those of you who blame the Biden administration or the Biden-Harris administration for this, you're right. Joe Biden has the ability to stop this. No Israeli genocide can happen without U.S. support, not for any significant period of time. Full stop. Full stop. So, in light of that fact, we have to hold Biden-Harris accountable. Now, it's not, they didn't do it. Israel did it. But again, Israel only operates with U.S. approval, U.S. sanction, U.S. money, U.S. political protection, U.S. weapons. So the blood is on the Biden-Harris administration's hands. Now we're about to move into the Trump administration in about a month, a little less than a month. And I know y'all said it can't get any worse. I know y'all said Trump won't be any worse. He'll be better or the same. Well, we're about to find out. And whatever the answer is, it ain't good for Palestinians. So we have to keep the pressure on. We have to keep the focus on, because these babies are dying. And the death of Palestinian children, sadly, is far too tolerable. Far too tolerable in this so-called progressive society. I know y'all ain't got a lot of good news. It's like Rosa Billy just said, she ain't got no good news either. Greg Stoker says it's going to get worse before it gets worse. You know, Jason, I agree with you. Trump will be worse, but, you know, nobody wanted to hear that. So I'll leave that alone.